4 months ago now, I decided to do 2 psychedelic ceremonies. I did iboga or ibogaine and DMT 5-MeO. And the reason I decided to have those ceremonies was because for most of my life, I've been battling with addiction or substance abuse issues. For decades, I've tried the classic recovery methods like 12-step recovery, and I keep finding myself back in the same position again. Psychedelics seem to be emerging again, and the research around them and their efficacy has been phenomenal. The statistics are black and white. This stuff works. My spiritual experience, namely with the 5-MeO DMT, was something that I is obviously very difficult to describe, but something that I had no idea was possible. Like, I had no idea that we could be connected to something so big. Holy shit, man. Yeah, so that happened. I was instantly connected with everything. I felt like cared for, loved. Oh man, just a part of everything and wrapped up in it. And again, just like this overwhelming feeling of like peace and connection. That was fucking beautiful for me. I could cry thinking about it right now. It's so crazy. So perfect. It's exactly what I needed. The overwhelming message was that everything is okay. This is us. This is who we are. We're, for whatever reason, we're living this 2D life right now, 3D life. But after having that experience, it feels like a 2D life. Like just like a drawing on a piece of paper. And then your eyes, your mind, every molecule in your body just gets opened up to what actually is. It's not something that I'll ever forget. It's a part of me now. It's driving me on this mission. Because now I know I don't have to just believe. Now I know it's true. I've experienced it. I've seen it. I've felt it. It's like surging through my entire body. Yeah, I realize that we are infinite beings. We're infinite. This is a speck of what is. This is a speck of what is, this moment. We're infinite. In 12-step recovery, I was told repeatedly to let it go. It's a super common phrase. And, I thought that I had a number of times, but I recognize now that I had no idea what I was even talking about. In fact, I think a lot of people have no idea what they're talking about when they say let go. Maybe they do, maybe it's just me, but until you feel every single molecule in your entire body fighting for its existence to who you think you are, we have no idea. And I had to let go of that, and holy shit, man, like I was just thrust into the ocean of everything, this energy that we're a part of. And I had to let go. And man, super powerful, terrifying as well, but really beautiful. I can't describe it any other way. It's the most powerful, connecting, synergistic experience of my entire life. I needed to learn how to integrate the experience I had into my life moving forward, so I met with an integration therapist.
All right. Do you feel present?
I do.
Okay, that's good. Mm-hmm. So why don't you tell me then what's bringing you here?
I had a ceremony, 3 ceremonies recently. 2 iboga and 1 5-MeO DMT. And I had some very profound experiences. It completely radicalized how I view everything, how I view myself. I've been struggling with addiction issues my whole life, and I had those experiences, and I feel like a different person. I just don't feel like the same guy.
And what's this new guy like?
The new guy, well, I think like part of the problem that I've had over the years, like I've been in and out of 12-step recovery, and I've done talk therapy, all the therapies. And I've tried to seek God, but I don't think I've ever truly had like a spiritual connection or an idea of what that is.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was just all based on belief and hope, you know, and and having, namely the 5-MeO DMT, like I got thrust into what is, and it scared the shit out of me.
I know.
But it was super beautiful. And, you know, and now I know that I know that there's something, right? Like I know that there's...
Finally, right?
I know.
Yeah.
You know, so I've had this beautiful, like life-changing experience. And, but what do I do with that? You know, like how do I integrate that experience into my daily life? How do I not lose that perspective is my main thing. You know, like what is the program for Neil now?
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah. As somebody who works a lot with those beautiful medicines, I think I do know what you mean. And it's interesting, you know, how you said how you felt like you were in a way seeking God through your addiction. And I have, both my husband and I have had quite a bit of experience working with people who are struggling with addiction in some rehabilitation centers and with our, you know, plant medicine work. And it's our experience that that's the element that's missing. And most often, addicts don't know that they're searching God. You had that concept, you knew, you were hoping, you were praying, and that's the advantage you had. Most of them don't even know that that's there. They're just experiencing discomfort of sense of detachment, sense of like being lost and being uncomfortable with being themselves. And they're using in order to feel unconsciously, in order to feel something greater than themselves, to feel connected to something greater than themselves. And it's an unfortunate, obviously, and not a very productive, not a very healthy way to search for God. But you knew what you wanted, and that's what helped a lot. No.
Well, I had an idea. I wasn't sure, you know, but yeah, I definitely had an idea.
But you had an idea. Most people we hear literally don't believe in anything. They say, and I used to be like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I was a therapist, a clinical psychologist. I did not believe in God. In fact, I did not have any respect for people who didn't believe in God. Yeah. I thought that was a dumb idea. Until I started having literally direct experiences of divinity. Right. And a lot of that happened through my personal struggles with people who, in my family, people who were suffering and watching that helplessly, and then with plant medicine work. And once you have a direct experience of divinity, nobody can take that away, right? No. Yeah. So, and you said you feel different. I would like to hear more about that. Like, what does that look like? What do you exactly mean?
Well, I have no thoughts of like, you know, in my like recovery history, you could say that at certain points, you know, thoughts of using and drinking would come up. And pretty early on, and that they would just be lingering in the background, you know. I might not pay them any attention, but they're there, you know, and every once in a while they'd be louder or quieter depending on what was going on in my life. But they're just gone.
And when was that last ceremony?
That was 2 months ago.
So for 2 months, for the first time practically, in your adult life, you've had no thoughts of using them, not even on the margin, periphery of your consciousness. Nothing. How amazing!
Which is amazing, but at the same time, part of me is like, okay,
Like, when's the other foot gonna drop? The other shoe gonna drop? You know, like, is there something I'm missing? Like, I need to hold on to this. You know,
What
but
were
it
you?
hasn't happened.
Yeah, wow.
So,
Yeah, it's new, right? It's something when you are. It's like you are a new person now in this world, and you are like a newborn in a way, struggling to find out how to be in this world now, right?
yeah, I can say this that you know, I think over the course of, you know, I felt like a part of me, like pieces of myself for a very long time because of, you know, the drug use and etc. Right, and after having that experience, I feel whole again for the first time. Like, I feel like I remember now. You know what I mean? Whereas with, you know, just going through life, not even necessarily the drugs or alcohol, but just going through, you know, regular life, you know, I'd forgotten myself. You know, I'd become this person that is just stretched in so many different directions at the same time moving forward. And now I have the capacity, or I remember who I am, and I feel whole.
Wow.
You know? And I'm not going to say that's just the medicine. It's just like that produced the idea that I could change everything, you know, in my life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Until recently, until 2 months ago, when was the last time in your life that you felt whole, if ever?
When I was a kid. Yeah.
Okay. How old do you think you were when you lost that?
I don't know. Like a little boy, right? So probably, I don't know, really young. Really young. I don't know an exact age, but
Okay, yeah. And that's what happens. And I'm not going to ask you and take you into those early childhood experiences, because you said you had lots of therapy. I don't think that would be productive right now to open that file and leave it open, right? Because we wouldn't have time to close it.
Okay.
I'll just say, practically everyone has some adverse childhood experiences and some trauma in their lives. And some people suffer bigger, greater traumas. Some people are luckier to have less trauma. And when we do suffer those traumatic experiences, we literally lose parts of ourselves. It's like I feel like we detach from our souls, literally. It's somewhere there, but we're not aligned with it. Yeah. And then this work with the medicine, that's why I love it so much. It really works fast and reconnects you with your soul. And that's when you become whole. Right. That's what it means to be whole. Like, I am one with everything that's me, right? And everything that is.
I know.
Right? And it sounds like a great state you're in, and yet there's a little bit of a apprehension as to, will this last?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Like, I guess fear over, is this just another one of my brain's little tricks?
Is it an addiction? Another addiction?
It's not, because
no, I mean addiction to fear, a habit of going there.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. I think, like, I'm used to the other shoe dropping.
Yeah.
I'm used to that cycle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so how do I become comfortable with being comfortable?
Exactly.
Because I used to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, that was normal.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so try to kind of paint a picture for me. You're feeling whole. You're feeling good. Okay.
So,
and where in that picture where you're whole and you're good, because in my experience, when you're feeling whole, you're kind of relaxed into you're resting in your own existence, in your own body, in your own mind, in your own soul.
Yeah.
How does the fear and where does it creep up from?
Well, I guess, like, the fear portion would definitely be habitual, from, like, decades of being in that cycle, that thought cycle, right? But now, for the most part, that fear is gone.
Okay, but there's fear of fear, or the fear is gone, but there's still a little bit of fear.
Yeah, I'm holding on to some of it, I think.
Okay, that's very interesting to me. And I'm wondering if in some way you're seeking reassurance that this is real.
For sure. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess part of me doesn't want to put all my eggs in this basket and then...
Because you could lose what?
I don't know. I mean, my life, which is, I'm not too worried about dying, to be honest with you, but I don't know. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? It seems like you are scared of getting disappointed and learning that this wasn't real, that this wasn't meant to last.
Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, like this is, okay. I guess in some way, yeah, I have a fear that like this is another thing that's going to like, it's going to be let me down or...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fear of being let down, disappointed, because attaining something good, having it and then losing it.
Right.
That is a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
And you know what else is interesting? That fear, I wonder if you ever thought about it, having that fear informs your mind that you're not the one in charge.
Right.
That's a very kind of powerless position. Like, what if I start thinking about using again?
Right.
But who's the one who's thinking about using?
I'm the guy.
Yeah. And you're whole, so
yeah.
Why would that even happen, right?
Well, I can say that maybe it just feels a little... It feels a little different being back at the wheel of my own life again.
Yeah.
You know, and it's beautiful. Like I love it. It's great. But I'm watching all my mirrors. You know what I mean? And making sure that I'm staying within the lines. You know. But it's just it hasn't happened for a very long time. In fact, I can't even remember when it happened last, right?
Since you were a little child, and it's like now how old are you now?
I am turning 49.
Okay. So since you were a child and now you're 49, and it's like you woke up one day and you're grown up.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, okay, this is amazing. I am free. I am powerful. But that's also scary. That's a huge responsibility as well. And it's learning how to be in this world as a grown up.
It is after it is after I feel like I've lost a lot of time. Do you know what I mean? Not being in control. But at the same time, I'm super grateful that I'm in this place now with whatever time I have left.
Yeah.
You know, I get to do whatever I want to do now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's the part of me that is like becoming whole again. It's like I get to pursue the things in life that I truly care about. I'm not, chained to anything that is not me anymore.
Yeah. And being whole also means embracing that grief over the loss of the years, that you lost to drugs. It's important not to bypass that and not to, kind of abandon any parts of you. And every part, being whole means being happy that you're now, as you are now, feeling free, loving yourself for the first time, honoring yourself for the first time, but also embracing the parts of you that are maybe not that great, parts of you that are scared, that are weak, that the sadness of what you've lost, all of that, just embracing all of that and allowing yourself to experience and feel and sit with your feelings, whatever they are, and just honoring them. That's really what being whole means.
Yeah.
It's not like living happily ever after. Nobody gets that,
No, I know.
That's a life from fairy tales, right?
Yeah.
But it's about learning how to be uncomfortable and be okay with being uncomfortable as well. And, how to honor yourself wherever you are at, how to speak your truth, how to live in your truth, how to trust yourself and the universe.
Yeah.
Both.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah. Who do you think, where's the lack of trust? Is it that it's difficult for you to trust yourself or life or God?
I honestly haven't had complete trust in myself for a long time, complete trust. And I feel like I do now. Yes, there may be just like some form of like weariness, we'll say, just, a healthy dose of fear maybe. But I trust myself now. I trust my thoughts,
Wow.
And
That's more than most people can say
it is.
for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What about life? Do you trust life? God, whatever you want to call it.
I trust. I feel like I'm on a path now. Like I really do. I feel like that experience opened me up. I don't know. This is gonna stuff, but in like a vibrational way that I am actually attuned to who I am and where I'm going, and I feel like I've settled into a path that is heading in that direction. And so life is gonna happen all around me. It's gonna be what it is. But I feel like I'm on that little river.
Once we align with our soul truly, we inevitably discover our soul's mission, why we are here. That's it. Once you truly step into your soul's mission, the whole universe conspires to help you. It sends people and events and situations in your life. Yeah. So how beautiful is that?
It is beautiful.
And it helps us trust the universe, trust life.